High blood pressure is the silent killer, but did you know it can also be silently killing families? Let's talk about it. Welcome to the show. This is Rise and Thrive with KK Smith. This show is also a product of the Rise and Thrive Foundation, where we exist to disrupt the effects of generational instability after trauma in our communities. So, around here, we talk about health, wellness, beauty from the inside out. So, today I want to talk about blood pressure, not only as a silent killer for an individual, but also for families. And here's our experience. Here's my personal experience with high blood pressure. My mother had high blood pressure from a very early age, and she is the reason why this platform exists. Before the Rise and Thrive Foundation, there was Wanda's Wish, and my mother passed away on Martin Luther King Day at the early age of 62 years old. She was young, she was vibrant, she was beautiful, but there was a silent killer ever since she was young, and that was high blood pressure. High blood pressure has the ability to not only take away individuals, but also families. So, I wanted to explain three things that we need to pay attention to with high blood pressure. I am not a physician. I have lived experience with this particular process in the body from my mom, right? Fortunately, I have not developed high blood pressure, but my blood pressure has been high. And this is what I want to talk about today. High blood pressure hangs around generations, it hangs around individuals. And I want to talk about three particular things. First, I want to talk about our diet. Our diet sometimes is generational. The things that we eat, the things that for instance, right? In our family, we are big on soul food, right? Soul food sometimes has a lot of salt in the food, right? And sometimes the salt can raise your blood pressure. It can raise your blood pressure to salt. It holds on to water, right? Think about high blood pressure in the body, you think about what are some of the foods that we eat that attribute to high blood pressure. Next, I want us to think about the lens of environment, right? Our environment can raise our blood pressures, right? Sometimes you are stressed out, you are totally stressed out. And a lot of times we often talk about the same money, right? We get into conversations with my friends, sometimes with my husband, with my sister. We talk about the exact same money that you could be making on one job and you're making on a totally different job. Maybe this job comes with environmental stressors, right? It is so stressful to earn that $35, $50, $100 an hour, right? And then on this job is not as stressful and you have lowered your blood pressure and you check your blood pressure and you're like, why is this blood pressure so high all the time? And then you leave one job and then your blood pressure goes down, right? This is a true experience. This has really happened to some of my friends, some of my family members, some of my associates. They have literally left one job. The job was super stressful. And then all of a sudden, they enter a whole nother career and lower their blood pressure. This is really happening, right? This is really a thing. This has really happened. So, the other thing I want to talk about is situational stress. Friends, so I had a situation, true story. This happened in 2022 when my daughter was about to graduate, right? So we hired an event planner, and this event planner promised all the things. And as a matter of fact, I had gone to a party of one of my clients. Her husband was turning 50, and she invited my husband and I. We went to the party, beautiful decorations everywhere. I'm like, hey, who is your event planner? I would love this person to plan my next event. My daughter is graduating. So, hired this event planner. Friends, my blood pressure has always been very average. In fact, a little lower than normal, not low of concern, but just not high at all, right? I have exercised. Sometimes I have eaten right, not all the time, but sometimes I have eaten right. And so my blood pressure was pretty much average, right? I had never had high blood pressure until this event. And so the party started at 4 o'clock. The event planner arrives at 3:39. I cannot make this up. So my family and I started getting things out of the car. We started getting things out of the car, and I could feel I could feel something going on in my body. I wasn't sure what it was, but with every step, I felt my head was feeling light. I felt a rush of emotions come up, right? And after this experience, I talked to the event planner and I had to tell her exactly how I felt. Now, I didn't cuss her out. I wasn't mean to the event planner, but I could feel that that situation was affecting me on the inside. And so I had my husband, who's in the medical field, take my blood pressure, right? My blood pressure was high. My blood pressure went from being average, no concern from my doctors, no concern from anyone, right? Not even myself. Very average. I would take my blood pressure from time to time. In fact, when I would go to the doctor, they would say, your blood pressure is really good, right? Because I am over 50. So during this time, I was so upset. I was so upset. And so I could tell that that situation raised my blood pressure. So we have diet, environment, and situation. And sometimes when we're not paying close attention, those situations can creep up, right? They could creep up in our lives, they could creep up in our minds and raise our blood pressure. So I wanted to come in here with a quick tip on staying at peace on the inside, right? So, one of the ways that I practice now when I get hijacked by my emotions, right? Things that are beyond my control, what I simply do is I come to center and I say, Lord, help me to release this from the inside, right? And just that simple prayer, just that simple break in reality can help you stay at peace on the inside. Again, I am not a medical professional, but this has helped me. This has helped bring peace within. This has helped me to really understand that environment, situations, and our eating are all attached to our blood pressures. Friends, this has been a quick talk from the Rise and Thrive with KK Smith podcast. I want to know, how are you lowering your blood pressure? How are you staying in peace on the inside? And remember these three things: environment, right? Situations and eating can all have something to do with a high blood pressure. So, friends, thank you for joining me today. And remember, you can always celebrate wins, get back up again around here. And I want you to continue to rise well and remain blessed. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me.